This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
And we are back with another episode of the Brother and Sister Rewatch. I am Kevin, here with my sister, Mare Bear. How you doing?
Hey, guys.
And this week we are back covering The Office. We're on Season 3, Episode 3, The Coup, as well as Episode 4, Grief Counseling. But before we jump into this week's episodes, Mary is going to revisit last week's show.
Yes. Right? Okay, so Season 3, super strong opening. Alright, this is great.
It's elite.
It is. So, episode 1 of season 3, Gay Witch Hunt. Basically, Michael outs Oscar to the entire office because he called him a faggot previously.
He didn't say
I'm
faggot.
Sorry. He was acting faggy.
Yeah, he used the descriptor.
And Toby's like, listen, like, he's actually gay. And Michael's like, ah, and like literally Toby has to spell it out. No, he's a homosexual. He likes to have sex with men. Until Michael finally figures it out. So then, of course, Michael antics ensue. Michael ends up actually kissing Oscar.
Right on the mouth.
Sexual assault at that point. Like, it's not even harassment, it's assault. And it ends with Oscar telling us he got a 3-month paid vacation and a company car.
Yeah,
so sometimes it pays to be gay, kid.
It was a great episode from top to bottom.
It really
fantastic.
was. There were so many things that obviously in a recap we can't rehash. Mm-hmm. But go back to last week's episode if you have not yet and listen because it's a goodie. So then we go to season 3, episode 2, The Convention, where Michael and Dwight go down to Philadelphia. And they meet Jim and Josh at the office supply convention, essentially. And Michael's just concerned with having a party. Angela comes down under Jane Doe and goes into Dwight's room waiting for him naked. Michael thinks that Jim left because he doesn't like him as a boss. Jim finally admits no, it's because of Pam.
And Jim finds out that Pam is on the market again.
Yes, she is no longer engaged. She did not get married. Mm-hmm. She is single and ready to mingle because she had a date during that episode. So, long story short, Michael actually came through and got like an elite paper supply company to work with them when they were only with Office Max, Office Depot or something like that. Yeah. And Jan was impressed with Michael.
So he's impressing Jan, which is, kind of a sub-story. Because a lot of it was focused on Jim and Pam kind of in different places. And Michael throwing a party. But, don't sleep on that Jan sub-story. So I guess that brings us up to speed. So we'll start off with The Coup this week. And we open up, Michael and Pam are staring at a microwave as popcorn pops. And Mike is very excited. And as he's talking, they show a video of him going into a safe in his office, right? Yeah. And he pulls out Varsity Blues. And Pam goes on to explain that it's Movie Monday. They started off watching training videos and a medical video, which... Yeah,
she doesn't go into...
But she pauses,
She just goes a medical video.
Yeah. And they talk about how now on Mondays, Mike will come in. Everybody goes into the conference room. They turn down the lights and they watch a movie.
A half hour of a movie.
Yeah, only a half hour. They watch it in snippets. Mm-hmm. And it's Varsity Blues now. And Pam comes in, and she has this huge tray, because Michael made her pop...
7 bags of popcorn.
A bunch of popcorn, but only Michael wants it. So she sits there with 6 bags of popcorn. Now, we open the show.
Well, you forget, Kevin gets to recreate the scene.
That's where I'm opening. Because that was all the cold open.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Now the show opens, and Michael has Kevin stand up in front of everybody and do a recap of last week's 30 minutes of Varsity Blues. And as he's doing this, Dwight is shutting the shades, and we see outside Jan is getting out of her car.
See a peek.
Yeah. And we get a talking head where Dwight's like, there are some people who do not approve of Movie Monday. I will not say their names. And then we go to Angela. It's me. I don't approve. At this point, Jan walks in. Nobody's there but Angela. Angela's the only one who wouldn't go in the conference room.
And she doesn't even speak.
No, she just points.
Yeah, she's like motions over there.
In the conference room. So now we see, Jan opens in, walks in, sees them all watching the movie, and now she's in Michael's office, and, just kind of reaming him out. How would this...
Oh my God, yeah.
How would this increase productivity? And Michael knows he's in a jam, knows that it's stupid. He just goes, well, they'd move faster to make up for the time that they lost watching the movie. And so we snip to Angela and Dwight in the break room, again, having their weird convo where they're each facing different walls. And she's urging him to usurp Michael, essentially. Like, this branch would run so much better if you were in charge. Michael's going to get us all fired. And Dwight is, loyal to Michael. So he's like, no, I can't do that, monkey. Mm-hmm. He doesn't call her monkey. I wish he did.
I know.
Then we go back to a talking head of Angela where she says, patience and loyalty are good and virtuous traits. Sometimes you need to grow a pair. Which is very... it's a forward statement.
It's crude from her.
Yeah, for someone like her, who's usually reserved and prim and proper. So, this is our first time this episode that we skip to the Stamford branch. Mm-hmm. And the lights go down and they start playing Call of Duty. All the workers in the office are playing Call of Duty on their computers.
Yep.
And Jim tells the story of, this is what they do. It started as a team building exercise, and now it's their thing.
Yeah.
So last week we said these people seemed like they had a stick in their ass and that.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Scranton branch. They just have their own brand.
And it's still not, exactly. It's still not the Scranton branch. They have their own brand of blowing stuff off.
Yeah.
And it's through Call of Duty.
Which is so, aggressive compared to, Movie
and
Monday.
It gets very aggressive as we go on, insanely.
But you know what I mean? Michael is so innocent and naive with, Movie Mondays, who wants popcorn? This is our motivation.
He's kind of a preschool teacher.
Yeah.
And
this is high school.
Josh is the gym teacher in high school.
Play the dodgeball.
That's exactly what it is. So we go back to Scranton, and Pam gets an order, a delivery. And she went online and ordered new clothes. Mm-hmm.
And my favorite pastime.
I actually made a note at the beginning. So when I put on Netflix and the preview comes up for this episode, and it's a picture of Pam leaning over the reception desk, and she has that pink blouse that I swear to God she wears every week. She's like a cartoon character. They never change their clothes.
Well, that's why
Peter
she's
Griffin.
Supposed to be like a wallflower, very bland.
As I'm watching it, I was like, well, it's been over 2 seasons now, and she hasn't changed. I'm like, I wonder when she does, because I know eventually it does happen, and apparently it's this episode. Yep. And she gets these new clothes. She thought it was time for a change, basically. Mm-hmm. And Kelly wants her to try them on at lunch, put on a fashion show.
Fashion show.
Keep doing it.
Fashion show at lunch.
There we go. Yeah, I was waiting for that. And Pam actually seems excited. She's like, oh my God, girl things.
All right, fine.
Because usually she hangs around with Jim, and they have their,
too
cool
Kelly's
for school sense of humor.
Stupid, but now Kelly's her best friend.
I wouldn't say Kelly's stupid.
No,
Kelly
but that's how they see her.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, they would usually mock her, but
now that's Pam's friend.
Yeah, she has to stoop to Kelly's level now because Jim's not there. Jim, and back at the Stamford branch, Jim actually accidentally kills Andy in Call of Duty, and he doesn't realize that they were teams.
Just
he thought
killing Germans.
It was just random soldiers going out and killing each other. And of course, Andy's like, Tuna, damn it!
You kill the British!
He's very... that is another funny moment. They're British. Or they're not British, they're German. They're Nazis, essentially.
Yeah.
But Andy, you can tell after only a few weeks, Andy is, amped up. He'll raise his voice.
Yeah, he's very easily bothered.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here. Well, not a limb. I'm not going out on a limb. I'm just going to tell you what my initial thoughts are. Because especially when I watched this in, 2006 when this came out, I was like, this guy is going to annoy the piss out of me. Because there's always that character or that comedian who thinks, I'm just going to raise my voice and say things really loud.
Rob
No, you know who I actually had in mind? Billy Eichner. Do you remember him?
The guy from Matt that used to do the Madden?
No. He was on Parks and Rec at the end.
Oh,
he had Billy on the street.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to talk. He just talks really fucking loud, and he's just annoying. I know there are people who love him. I fucking hate him.
Yeah.
And there's comedians like the Dane Cook on his stand-up when he'll just be like, and I'm talking really loud, and I'm like, there's those guys.
It's the shock value.
Yeah, there's those guys who they amp you up really quick. And at first when I started watching this 13 years ago, I was like, Ed Helms is going to be this guy. Where I'm just like, fucking no way.
Can I just okay, but there are some guys that do that, but don't let you down at the end.
Like who?
Like Bill Burr.
Oh, Bill Burr.
I fucking love Bill Burr.
See, I don't picture Bill Burr. Bill Burr has that, how do I pronounce that quality where he's talking to you like a normal guy.
Yeah.
He's not the guy who just starts oh my God, yelling.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. He'll raise his voice, But it's like a purposeful raise of the voice.
There used to be a guy on Saturday Night Live who was like that. And I can't remember who the hell it was, but he used to drive me crazy. Because he'd be the guy who comes in and starts yelling and shit. And
Will Ferrell?
No, it wasn't Will Ferrell. Although he has his moments
he
doing
does.
that, though. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. But Andy...
Tangent alert!
Yeah, Andy, you can tell, is like the guy who gets worked up easily.
Yes.
We go back... And the camera is looking out the window to the parking lot where we see Dwight, like, freaking out.
He's, like, running.
He's running sprints. He's running sprints, but he's also like, He's, like, pulling his hair. And, like, again, this is...
having a nervous breakdown.
This is like the episode last season with the drug testing where he's having a crisis.
Oh, yeah.
And he's, like, breaking down because he has no other productive outlet, like, to...
Yeah, he was never taught how to use his words.
Or how to deal...
process.
Yeah, how to deal with things.
Yeah.
So he's just, like, animalistic. Just like, physical manifestation! Like, that's all it is. So he's, like, freaking out in that. Then we see him on his phone. He's calling Jan.
Yes.
And she doesn't want to talk to him. She's like, talk to Michael, and, like, you can talk to him through me. But Dwight tells her it's important. It's very sensitive. He wants to talk to her about stuff. And that she could pull over and meet him at the Liz Claiborne outlet store off Exit 40.
Yep.
Because he knows that she likes Liz Claiborne. Which she seems freaked out by.
She does. She's like, how do you know that I like Liz Claiborne? And he says, it's my job to know. All of your tops are Liz Claiborne. But I did look, and there is no Liz Claiborne outlet at the Tannersville.
Oh, you looked at... Yeah, I love how you Google mapped it.
Oh, I totally did.
So is that Exit 40?
I can't confirm Exit 40, but the outlets, those are the outlets nearest to us at that time.
Yeah.
And that's where I looked.
All
especially because that's on the way to New York.
You should have checked like circa 2006.
Oh, yeah, because they have an archive on
Liz
there.
Claiborne store location. So Dwight goes into Michael's office because apparently Jan agrees to meet with Dwight off that exit. And he tells Mike that he's going to the dentist for an emergency crown. Mm-hmm. And Michael's just like, yeah, okay, cool. Because Michael trusts him.
Yeah,
and Michael,
that's his right-hand man. That's his arm.
He's like, that's my guy. That's the guy I call in for, he's like his consigliere, like Tom Hagen from The Godfather.
Is.
And, Dwight sneaks out. Dwight, of course, is like selling that he's doing something nefarious, essentially. He's like looking at Michael, he's sweating.
Yeah, he's like rubbing his hands on his thighs.
He backs out the door like the Kool-Aid Man after he crashes through the wall. It's great shit.
It's Family Guy.
So we kind of go over to the outlets where Jan is putting bags in because she went shopping while she was there. And Dwight takes her into, I guess, a Denny's or something.
A Waffle House or something like that.
Because he's eating massive amounts, like 3 plates of pancakes and waffles.
I know.
And he's telling Jan that he can run the branch better than Michael. And she's asking him what he would do differently. And he's talking about cleaning house. He doesn't care about his coworkers.
Oh, half the staff would be gone.
Yeah, and he's just like... Oh, God. She asks him, like, he must feel strongly to be doing this to behind Michael's back. Mm-hmm. And he says that it was difficult, but he's not looking back on it. And the thing that sticks with me here is that I think Dwight would have a shot here. Because she asked him follow-up questions, like, what would you do differently? Why are you doing this? But the way he's presenting himself as, like, I would fire everybody, I don't care about them, and then he scarfs down these waffles.
He's such an alpha.
Yeah, well, not even an alpha. Alphas don't act like this. Alphas have confidence. Like, Dwight has confidence.
The way he massacred those pancakes, though, I felt
he's
bad
talking
for
with
pancakes.
his mouth full. It's not an alpha thing. It's
I'm sorry, a Neanderthal thing.
Yeah, I would go with that, actually. Yeah. Like, I don't give a shit. The only reason I'm talking to you... Is
to get there.
Is because you're a boss. Like, you're a woman. I don't think that much of you. Like, typically, Dwight's misogynistic.
Which he does show later.
Yeah. Oh, he does. I can't wait to get there. But, so, that was one thing I noticed, that, like, she's there to hear him out.
Yeah, she is.
So, anyway. Michael's in his office, just ditzing around. And he gets a call from Jan, and she tells him about the meeting that she just had with Dwight.
Yeah.
And Michael is, like... kind of like blindsided.
Oh, you were at the dentist?
Yeah, he thought she was at the dentist.
Jesus Christ.
But she's like he's like blindsided.
Yeah.
And you can see
like, get your people in line, Michael.
And he starts the wheels are in motion, you can see, like in his head. And we then go over to I guess it's the break room, where all the women are, like Meredith, Phyllis, Kelly are there, and Pam's showing off her new outfit. It's like a red, is it low cut? Like, was her cleavage out?
No, it was like a plum color, but it was a V-neck.
I thought it was red.
No, it was like a burgundy.
Maroon!
Yeah.
Yes!
But it was like a V-neck. There was nothing showing, but it showed her shape more than her clothes
that's true.
Normally do.
That stuff. But Roy walks in. He's getting a soda.
For the third time today.
He compliments her, and Kelly's like, is that your third soda today? And he just kind of does like a double take and just keeps going. Now we go back to Stamford, and Jim is on the phone with a client, and the lights go down again. And the blinds are drawn.
I can't believe
just
that's the signal, though.
I know, yeah. There's no like...
You're in the middle of work, just lights off, get into COD, bitch.
So they all get in there in Call of Duty, and that's when Josh comes out, and he calls Jim and Andy to the next room. And Jim's like, he doesn't know. He's like...
No, he thought something happened.
Yeah, he's like, I've been doing my best. Like, I was on a call. And it turns out Josh wants to discuss strategy, because they're all on the same team. And they're pissed because Jim's using a sniper rifle, and Andy calls him a saboteur and says that he will... this is real life, he will shoot Jim and kill him. Like, he gets really violent.
He does.
And of course, Josh doesn't step in.
No!
Because you know what? He's the competitive one. He's the one, like...
He's the dodgeball coach.
Yes, you can tell that he's, like, totally fine with, like, okay, you know what? Get him into shape because I want to win.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah, that's the way our father was.
Yeah, but
he's still alive.
Just shoot him in the face?
Oh, come on. Don't act like you never lost your temper. Everybody knows that you turn into this red-hot supernova of, like, hatred when you get mad. Come on. And I'm getting the eyes. Come on, tell him. Tell everybody out there.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm very zen.
Yeah, zen. That's the word I have in mind. So we go back to Dunder Mifflin Scranton. And Dwight arrives back. And Michael... How would you describe Michael's demeanor? Tell me.
Michael is, like, stone-faced. He has, like, no emotion on his face. His eyes are a little, not dodgy, but, like, piercing, I guess.
Yeah, they're like...
But he's very stiff.
Yes. He seems like he's in a malaise or something.
Yeah.
And he offers Dwight M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, and Dwight takes them and eats them. And Michael's like, oh, but I thought you weren't supposed to eat, for hours after getting a crown. And Dwight talks about, it's this new adhesive.
Yeah, it bonds instantly.
Yeah, and Michael goes, oh, your dentist must be really good. What's his name? And what does Dwight say?
He says, Crintus.
He just panicked.
Does.
And of course, Michael's like, your dentist's name is Crintus.
Maybe that's why he became a dentist.
Did you notice Dwight's face at this point?
he was cracking a little bit.
No, like, he had syrup stains on the corners of his mouth and going down his chin. There's like brown from the syrup on all the pancakes.
Oh my god!
Which is hilarious. It's like a kid going to the cookie jar and having chocolate.
Jesus Christ!
It's awesome. But then Dwight sits down and Michael looks at his teeth.
Yeah,
which is really strange.
Open his mouth. And he just says you need to floss more. What the fuck?
Then it's so weird because Dwight's like breathing heavy.
Yeah, my subtitles literally said hyperventilate.
Yeah, he's like panicking. He's like he's gonna know. But then we go to a talking head of Michael who says, "Business is a jungle. I'm a tiger. Dwight is a monkey who stabs the tiger in the back with a stick." And this is the point where Michael calls Dwight into his office. And he acts like he's been demoted by Jan and tells Dwight he is now the acting manager. He acts like he, wouldn't do it. Michael acts like Dwight wouldn't do it though because you're so loyal. You're my number one ally.
Yeah.
And Dwight seems caught off guard by it. Like, I am. You think that of me?
Mm-hmm.
But then he overcomes that because Dwight always disses friendship and closeness to other human beings for his own personal gain.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'll accept it.
Yeah. He kind of just gives in. I mean, he's just like, oh, well, I guess that's what we have to do.
And that's when Michael says, well, I'm now the assistant regional manager. And Dwight corrects him like Michael always used to. Assistant to the regional manager. And so Michael says, okay, let's go make the announcement. And they go out.
But wait, Dwight says, not until I'm ready, Mike.
Yeah, he does say Mike, doesn't he? Yeah. And Michael's face, he just kind of stares.
Yeah.
And then they go out. And they tell everyone. Everyone's shocked. Except for Angela. What does Angela say?
Congratulations, Dwight.
Thank you, Angela. They're so proper. I fucking love it.
It's gross.
But everybody's kind of shocked. And they do a talking head of Pam where she says her vacuum could do this job. And Phyllis says maybe she'll quit.
Yeah.
And we go...
But I mean, Stanley asked, what's the qualifications? How did Dwight get this job? Mm-hmm. And Michael's just like, Dwight never lies.
Trying to use guilt.
Oh, yeah. Guilty. All over.
Like he's our mother.
Oh, my God. Right? Oh, I guess, I'll just have to find Grandma a cab to go to the doctor's office with. It's like, no, Mom.
Mm-hmm. And this is great because this flows into Dwight and Angela in the break room. And if you notice here, this is actually one of the few times like Dwight is they're talking face to face in the open because Dwight feels like they don't need to hide it anymore because he's on top. He's the top dog, and she talks about how they can actually make a difference in this place and do things differently. And Dwight says, "How naive are you? Did you actually think that? Like he's like going to do it himself?" And he walks out, and then he stops at the doorway and he turns to her and he says, "You can be in charge of the women."
God.
But she smiles.
She smiles like, yes, that's what I want.
I'll crack the whip
Floor
on them.
length skirts for everybody.
It's just funny because did you ever were you ever in a workplace where there was a couple, like two people started dating there, and they thought they were like some kind of power couple because they worked there?
Yeah. And I worked in an office with 300 people. Oh my God, that was... the dating pool did not extend outside of the office. It was gross.
Well, 300 people is a lot.
Yeah, but it would all be within, like, the same 20 people. Like, they would all just interchange with each other. And I'm like, thank God my husband and I do not work here. He does not know these people, because it's just gross.
Would he be grossed out by those people?
Yes. Although, based on some of the stories he tells me about the people he works with, maybe not.
Well... We go back to Stamford, and the woman who sits behind him, who we got introduced to last week, still no name.
Yes.
She kills Jim in the game and like starts like giggling, and Jim just like looks at the camera and just whispers, "Psychopath." And she just kind of like smirks, like, I killed him. And we go back to Scranton, and Creed walks up to the reception desk, stares down at Pam. Nothing is said, and she goes, "Can I help you?" Just,
do you need something, Creed?
Nope, just looking. And she goes, "Why don't you go back to your desk?" And he goes, "In a minute." He's just like getting this mental image for his spank bank.
But like I said before, like it's not like revealing clothing. It's just more form to her body than her button-ups.
But it's such a difference for her. Plus, we already know Creed has a thing for her.
Oh yeah, he wants to sit facing the reception
in previous episodes. So Dwight is, we go back to Michael's office, old office. And Dwight's in there cleaning off the desk like of all the stupid kitty knickknacks that he has.
Tossing the toys off.
But Mike is sitting in the chair across from it, just like looking at it, and like kind of drinking it in, like what's his next move.
Seeing how Dwight is not so remorseful.
Yes. And Michael stands up and gives him the keys to his company leased car, the Sebring. And Dwight like mocks it, shits all over it, like, "That's a stupid car for this climate," but like it's Mike's baby.
It is Mike's baby. He loves that Sebring.
And like at one point, Michael says, "Take it back."
Yeah.
And Dwight says, "No, I'm not." And that's when Mike loses it. He goes over the edge. He goes, "Jan called me. She told me everything. I made this all up." And he starts and Dwight just goes to his knees and starts crying.
I know, like literally on his hands and knees.
He's like weeping. It's fucking hilarious.
Drooling.
"Michael, please, no! I'll never betray you again." Like it's
I'll do your laundry for a year.
It's like Shakespearean, like the way it's going down. And everybody in the office is like looking in, like.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like Ryan's face is... Ryan always looks like he just witnessed a murder. Like, why? Why am I watching this?
You're right.
So Michael like tells Dwight to stand up, and he says, "Hug it out, bitch."
Yes.
No.
But that's where the drool is, and it's so gross. Like, I was watching, I was just like, my bottom lip hurts watching it.
Question. Hug it out, bitch. Obviously that's from something else. I don't know what, though.
I don't know.
Part of me wants to say Entourage, because earlier in the episode, Michael...
Entourage!
He was talking about how much he loved Entourage.
Michael made the office watch one episode of Entourage 6 times.
Yeah, so part of me is like, that sounds like something Jeremy Piven would say. Entourage, like, I guess. I was too lazy to Google it.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Maybe if you guys know, hit us up on Twitter at Brosis Podcast and let us know where the fuck that came from.
Yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. I love you all. Now, they're going back, and Mike and Dwight now are watching a movie together. Like, they're back to the power dynamic.
BFFs now.
Yeah, they're back to the power dynamic that they were earlier in the episode. But Angela walks by and just, like, looks all disappointed. Like, God damn it, Dwight, we were almost there. You know?
Yep.
And we go back to Stamford. Jim's leaving the office. He turns around because it's just him and the woman. She's still at her desk.
Yeah.
He pretends to pull the pin from a grenade, and she throws pins up at her desk.
And, the paper clips. That was cute, though.
It was, and it's because he tried to use a grenade earlier. And Jim's like, "See you later," and he leaves. And she's like, she had the face.
Jim's only dating pool is The Office too. Like, come on, Jim.
Yeah, we talked about that last season. Remember?
Yeah.
Where we talked about how all of these people. There's only 14 of them, but they all just.
And Jim found the one girl who wasn't in the office at the office while she was selling fucking purses.
That's right. So, this is the end of the episode, the last 3 seconds, where Michael says Dwight's going to do his laundry for the year, but he didn't think that was enough, so they zoom out, and Dwight is standing on a bunch of paper in the middle of the office, head down with a placard around his neck that says liar.
Yep.
It's like a sketch out of Monty Python or something.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
I thought of Batman Begins, or one of those
What happened
movies.
in that one?
No, was it Batman Begins?
Is it one of the Christian Bale ones?
Maybe. Yeah, it's one of the Christian Bale ones. I don't know, for some reason in one of those movies, I think it's at the end.
Was it the one with Bane?
No. Yes, it was.
It was, yeah. When they make people walk on ice and shit.
The Scarecrow was the judge.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
It's hilarious the way his head is down.
Yeah.
And, he accepts that as his fate. Like, any other normal person
would
who tried to...
Fuck off.
Who tried to, take over for the boss, they'd probably just leave.
Yeah.
Or tell him, no, I'm not going to do something so demeaning. But Dwight, his sense of honor,
Yeah, he takes it, man.
So that's the end of that episode. I'm just curious what your thoughts were on that episode.
I mean, it was funny. It had some good lines. It had some good moments. But overall, it didn't wow me.
No.
I gave it a 2.8, which I feel is generous.
Generous, really? You thought it was worse?
I mean, it was so-so.
I gave it a 3.7.
Wow.
Because, I have a lot of, stuff written here at the end. So, to cover... First of all, no Oscar, good continuity. Thumbs up on that.
Oh, yeah, he's on his 3-month European vacation.
He's on a fucking safari or something.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to... Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. First one I would go to is Jim. Is he finally fitting in Stamford, do you think?
I think he's on his way. He at least has one ally.
Yeah, the lady.
The girl who we still don't know.
Andy hates him, though.
Andy hates him. I think Josh likes him, but I mean... I think he's trying.
He's not doing his typical Jim stuff, though.
Yeah.
He's trying...
Well, he learned not to pull pranks on Andy.
Yeah, he's not pulling pranks anymore. He's playing Call of Duty. He's trying that. He sucks at it.
He is trying to learn it, at least.
But you could tell he's definitely not... he's not speaking up and making jokes and stuff. It's a totally different environment that I don't think he's totally comfortable with, but he's kind of getting there. Another thing is... So, Jan, first of all... We've covered this in previous episodes where it's a 2.5 hour drive for her to get to Scranton, but she only shows up for 15 minutes and leaves. First of all, the other branches are all in Albany, Stamford. It's not like there's one 10 minutes away from Wilkes-Barre. She's going to be doing all this shit in northeastern Pennsylvania. So it's just odd. That's just an odd way to get her on television. But besides that, why do you think she called Michael? After the meeting with Dwight, what do you think is the reason that she did that?
Because she saw the ineptitude of Dwight after he shoveled those pancakes in his face, how he creepily knew that she liked Liz Claiborne shirts, and then Ann Taylor earrings.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
And I think she was just like, listen, you're less of a moron than this one. Clean your shit up.
So you think it was all based on professional stuff and not,
I
like Michael, I don't want him to lose his job. You don't think it was like that?
I don't think it was based on that, no.
Okay, that's fair.
Because if she didn't want... because she always says, I was drunk or this or that. She doesn't like to admit that she likes Michael, but it gives him an excuse to be around. But I think if she had an excuse to get rid of him...
She would take it?
She would take it.
And so... Do you think that this was as effective? So we mentioned the drug testing episode earlier, which I thought was great, and you liked it too. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this was kind of a poor man's version of that, where Dwight's loyalty versus glory, we'll say? Do you think that they tried to do that whole idea, but it just didn't kind of click as much as it should have?
I think that there was just not as much humor. There
you don't
wasn't
think it was as funny?
There... It's hard to explain, but there wasn't, as many side jokes as there could have been. Like, obviously, drug testing, marijuana, like, Creed knowing what the fuck he's talking about, everybody else being useless. Like, there's a lot of side jokes that you can make. The whole Jim and Dwight back and forth.
Well, him pretending to be a cop. In that,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there was a lot more material to use in that episode versus this one where it's just Dwight and Angela that are in on it.
Okay. And do you think that... What do you make of Angela? Do you think that she is pushing Dwight
what was Hitler's wife's name?
Eva Braun.
That's the one. I think she aspires to be that type of person.
Do you think she, like we said about Dwight? Dwight kind of turned on her for his own personal gain.
He did.
Do you think she's backing him and with him out of personal gain, or do you think she actually kind of believes in him and is pushing him for the?
Believes in him,
and she's pushing him for the right reasons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you think that's?
I think in their minds it's the right reason.
I just find it hilarious that Dwight loves Michael. For the most part, he like worships the ground he walks on, and the woman he loves hates his guts.
Oh my god,
it's hilarious to me
so much.
So, and the last thing before we close this one out, unless you have more stuff to talk about, is what do you make of Pam? What do you make of Pam turning a new leaf and trying new things and stuff?
I think that Pam is somebody who's been in a relationship for 10 years, was engaged for 3. And is finally realizing that she's not the same person she was, and is trying to make changes in her life.
So you think she's being proactive and doing the positive thing?
I think so.
Rather than accepting who she is.
Well, I don't think that's...
I'm not saying it's Sandy at the end of Grease.
No, but what I'm saying is I don't think who she is was that meek little thing. I think that's just the pigeonhole that she put herself in. Because obviously Roy, has a bigger personality. You know what I mean? Well, than Pam.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, he's very gregarious. He likes to hang out with his friends, drink beer, shoot basketball. Like, that's his thing. He's the big jock. That, like, even on the boat, the first time you met Katie.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's very outgoing where Pam was more reserved. And I think she's now realizing, like, well, without his shadow... Maybe I'm not as meek and quiet as I thought I was. Because even at the end, she's like, I'm going to keep the clothes because it'll be nice to have something after work clothes that aren't pajamas. So I think that's her kind of opening the door to new things.
Okay. That's solid. That's solid analyses.
Yeah.
So I liked it a lot more than you did, I guess. But...
You did? I mean, I thought it was funny.
No, it was short on the laughs because if you notice, everything we just talked about was character stuff and what the thought process is into writing it that way and everything. So I mean,
I think they're back into their. I mean, this is their pattern, though. We've seen it over the last
roller coaster
2 seasons. We come out really strong with Gay Witch Hunt, and then we kind of go into a lull. Where we're doing more character development because really. I mean, at this point in the show, you kind of have to, because one of your main characters is in a completely different office with all new characters.
Well, I just always think, but we haven't really done much with them.
No,
you know
but you're getting snippets, so they're not, overwhelming you, but they're still giving you insight into this new environment that Jim is in.
I just think this one also missed the boat with the supporting cast, because there was nothing from Meredith, barely anything from Phyllis, barely anything from Stanley. Yeah. Kevin just recited... Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Creed staring down Pam's shirt, which was awesome, but nothing from the temp. Nothing from anybody else.
It was really just Dwight and Michael.
And then a little bit of Pam and a little bit of Jim and Stamford. That was it. So, I mean, it was solid.
Yeah, it was a good episode. It just wasn't their strongest.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right.
Gay Witch Hunt is hard to follow up, man. That might be one of my favorite episodes so far.
It's awesome. And
in our rewatch,
they're not gonna all be 5s.
No, we knew that.
But I just wish the blending of the comedy and character was better. I'm gonna harp on that until they finally if they do it. Otherwise, we got another year of me harping on that. Why can't they do it? But I digress. And next, I guess we're going to do Season 3, Episode 4, Grief Counseling.
Yes, we are.
And we're going to be right back right after this.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the PlayStation Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop Feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content, offering tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all these great shows, plus archives of our past podcasts from over the past 8 years as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects, and much more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping. And we want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Welcome back to the halftime intermission portion of the show, and this is the part of the show where we put ourselves over, as well as PlaceToBeNation.com. And we're going to tell you right now about PlaceToBeNation.com Pop Feed and what you can find on there. On the weekly shows, the hard-traveling fanboys welcome WWE SmackDown referee Jason Ayers for a new series called Secret Origins. Jason delves into the similarities between comic books and wrestling, and he explains the stories and characters that have made him a lifelong comics fan. On their next episode, the HTF counted down the top animated DC movies. Do you like DC movies?
Yeah, I mean, they're good.
It's just Batman. That's all I know. I don't know anybody.
Batman, Superman, Suicide Squad, Aquaman.
I have... Oh, God. You know more than I do about that stuff. I don't know anything. Flash Fact! Russell and Todd kick off Flash Month on DC4U with guests hard-traveling fanboy Greg Phillips and the biggest Wally West fan ever, Ben Morse. What is Wally West?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
They talk about the Scarlet Speedster's best stories, writers, and artists, as well as his multiple appearances in TVs and movies. We've got tons of amazing content filling up the feed every month, so check out Jennifer Smith inviting Nate Milton to watch Jordan Peele's Get Out on the 13th episode of Freak Out Drive-In.
Yo, that was a good movie, though.
I didn't see that. That one got a lot of acclaim. Didn't it? Like it was up for an Oscar and stuff,
That was
right?
a good movie. Actually, my husband wrote a song about that called Rose.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Rose like a character in the movie?
I think so. I think it's like the girl main character.
That's a movie I never heard anybody really shit talk. Everybody kind of likes it.
No, that was so good. But yeah, he actually saw it, and he had this like creepy song that he wanted to write, and he like took aspects of the film and made those the lyrics.
We are approaching the Halloween season.
We are.
Lest we forget. Oh, yeah. On a new Looking Forward, Looking Back, host Andy Atherton is joined by Jennifer Smith, Tim Capel, and Scott Criscolo to preview the upcoming fall and winter movie releases. On this episode of Marvel Age, our favorite Sarcastic Four take a concentrated look at roughly one-third of the most significant of Marvel's output through 1972, including horror titles.
Nice.
As a small screen companion to Pop Goes the Movies, enjoy the premiere episode of Pop Goes to the Couch, which will spotlight a current series from the worlds of television or streaming media. On the first edition, the third season of Glow takes the stage with your hosts JT Rizzero, Jennifer Smith, and Tim Capel. Did you watch Glow?
No, I did not.
One of my best friends loves that show. He thinks it's awesome.
Yeah, I heard
and I mean, you know,
amazing.
yeah, you know, I'm a wrestling nerd. I know about like the actual Glow promotion from the '80s, and like it's something that I wanted to get involved in, but like time, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But I guess the guy who trained the women on the show in wrestling is Chavo Guerrero. Do you remember him? Do you remember Eddie Guerrero?
Yes,
it's Eddie Guerrero's nephew.
It sounds very familiar.
Yeah, he was his nephew, and he's a wrestler. Also, Jenny and Miranda run down the comprehensive list of new and returning TV shows for the fall in the latest Geek and Sassy. They announced a huge giveaway contest, so be sure to listen and stay tuned to their social media for details. Roger and D'Amato preview the forthcoming NFL season on their latest PTBN Sports pod. It's the week... Hold on. It's this week in the NFL, Week 1. Now, we just finished Week 1 in the NFL. Now, how did you do on your family picks?
I'm pretty sure I came in last, Kevin.
And as we're recording this, this show is coming out on Monday, but it's Thursday. And tonight is a big game for your Buccaneers.
I did. I picked my book.
I have Christian McCaffrey in fantasy as the running back for the Panthers. But I also have a wide receiver for the Bucs, Mike Evans. I have a good team. I'm just saying, I'm in first place in my league after 1 week. Also, JT joins Tim and Jenny to talk weight loss, religion, and politics on the latest Can't Miss, Talkin' Pop. Now, those are usually things you don't talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to give that one a listen, actually, I think. Well,
that sounds like a very interesting and diverse...
That's up your alley, though, weight loss, right?
Yeah. My husband and I do the ketogenic diet.
Is that... Oh, that's what keto is short for? Ketogenic?
Yeah.
I thought it was ketosis.
No, ketoacidosis is when you're diabetic and your kidneys shut down.
Okay.
It's the opposite of what we do.
All right. The greatest song of the 80s tournament continues. Down now to 64 songs, by the way. There will be 4 polls a day posted for round 4.
I did vote in those polls.
Who'd you vote for?
Bon Jovi.
Living on a Prayer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, oh gosh, was it Found Someone Like You or something like that?
Found Someone? That's Adele.
No. Oh God.
I don't Addicted remember. To Love? Well, today, John Cougar Mellencamp...
I did vote for Addicted to Love. Yes.
John Cougar Mellencamp is running wild today on somebody, and it's pissing me off because I can't stand. Hey everybody, I sing with this voice like I'm Bruce Springsteen because we're blue collar working guys. Like, no, fuck you, I hate you.
Oh my God.
But get in on the action on Facebook by searching PTBN's Greatest Song of the 80s Tournament and liking the page. So, guys, weigh in. Also, over at the PTBN Wrestling feed, on the newest episode of the Place to Be podcast, Scott and JT welcome back PTB podcast legend Kelly Nelson to look at the final MSG house show of the 1980s. That was an awesome listen, because they really rounded out the 1980s on that show, like in WWF. And
okay.
It was main evented by a Rick Rude, Roddy Piper cage match. Which
Jesus.
Roddy Piper's the shit. You know Rick Rude?
I do remember that.
Swivel his hips and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Also, a new episode of No Holds Barred is back. JT and Aaron are talking AEW, NXT UK, the Wednesday Night Wars, the Neville Brothers, and then play a game of Pulled and Pushed. Peter Winson and Steve Bennett wrap up their series, breaking down their favorite all-time sports seasons on the Adams division. Ooh, that sounds cool. On episode 22 of Row 1, Seat 1, Ben is joined by Cabana Man Dan to talk about his experience in over a decade in the wrestling business, plus more. And lastly, Greg, Ginny, and Tim are back talking WCW and taking a deep dive on the ravishing one, Rick Rude. Speak of the devil. But also, every Wednesday on PlaceToBeNation.com, we've got the most interesting and unexpectedly funny stories on the World Wide Web in Glenn's Weekly Walk. For college football fans, Scott Criscolo and Logan Crossland have their weekly campus hot takes, looking back at the previous week and looking ahead to the biggest matchups. Catch their weekly column every Tuesday night. I'm getting choked up here.
Yeah,
I'm going to need a drink soon. Check out the social media pages and message board at www.bigelow34.proboards.com for information on joining the GWWE, PPV, and TV Match Ever project. Get in on the conversation, make a list, start researching, get after it.
Can I just say that I just went on to Twitter to cast my votes for today?
And what do we got? What do we got?
So completely disappointed that Fuck the Police by NWA is losing to Footloose.
Yeah, I'm not a big Kenny Loggins guy.
What the fuck?
I'm not happy seeing that.
Don't Stop Believing is killing Video Killed the Radio Store.
As it should be.
Master of Puppets is getting demolished by Pour Some Sugar on Me.
I kind of get that. Master of Puppets is a better song, but when I think 80s,
Pour Some Sugar on Me. Yeah,
that's like vintage.
And Give Me All Your Lovin' is beating out Jack and Diane.
Oh, it is. Fuck you, John Cougar Mellencamp. Yes. ZZ Top for life. That makes me very happy to see that, actually.
Give me all your lovin', all your hugs and kisses too.
As you get into
Spinning guitars, beards, it's a good time.
So, now, let's put ourselves over. We're going to tell you, follow us on Twitter at BrosisPodcast. And also, if you have any feedback, get in touch with us at brothersisterrewatch@gmail.com. And we will read your feedback live on the show. And we have a piece of mail today.
What?
From Mike.
Mike, is he new?
No, he sent one back a while back.
Yeah, he did.
And he writes, just wanted to let you guys know I'm a big fan of yours. Joke from season 1, episode 1 with the Jello. Ha ha.
I like that.
I like how he explained it just like Michael. When listening to the Gay Witch Hunt episode, I remembered something I read about that episode. The kiss with Michael and Oscar was not actually in the script. Supposedly, Steve Carell just improvised the whole thing. So the reactions of Pam and Ryan and everyone were real reactions to what was happening. It was pretty interesting to share with you, too. Anyway, keep up the great work and love the show.
That is actually pretty cool, because then Steve Carell actually sexually assaulted Oscar.
Well, and it brings up a good point there. He's talking about stuff that, like the backstage stuff and, like, you know, that kind of thing.
The cuff.
Maybe we should start throwing some more stuff like that. You know, we'll do some research on the
You
ins
mean
and
I'll
outs.
do some more research?
Well, I want to say, last night I'm on Twitter and I'm like, you know, doing my thing, and I see there's this big announcement from Jenna Fisher and Angela.
Kingsley, yeah.
They're doing their own podcast talking about The Office.
Woo!
And
Jenna, we'd love to be on!
No,
Angela,
no,
we'd
no.
love to be on!
No, this is competition. we got barely a little over 2 seasons in, and they smell blood in the water. And they're like, we can make money off this shit.
Right, we can do better.
Let's just piggyback these two hard-working, blue-collar, tough kids.
From Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and we're just going to screw with them.
I don't think so. I love you both, though.
Yeah, thank you, guys. But no, thank you for the email. And guys, if you would like some feedback read on the show, it is brothersisterrewatch@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, it's BrosisPodcast, @BrosisPodcast. And we look forward to hearing from y'all.
Mm-hmm. Now, guys, I did tweet out the other day about how, obviously, we don't just watch The Office on our Netflix account. My background noise while I'm working is
this
the
is
Gilmore
awesome.
Girls. Remembering Sebastian Bach is in that show. And, Mr. Bach has retweeted us, which I appreciate.
I forgot about that. That's
now,
huge.
delving into the Gilmore Girls further.
That's right.
Miss Jan Levinson was a psychiatrist on the Gilmore Girls.
I remember that episode very well.
And she has the same raised eyebrow look. Mm-hmm. So we'll be tweeting out a picture of that one.
Well, do you remember that episode? Because she is.
Yeah,
they're trying to hook her. They're trying to hook her up with
Christopher. Roy's father.
And then Lorelai ends up having a fucking session with her in the back
her
of her
car,
Yeah.
in the driveway of her parents.
It's awesome episode.
It really was. But I was like, Jan Levinson, Jan Levinson Gould.
Yeah, she was much softer.
I was just talking about you the other day.
She had a much softer touch in that episode.
Yes.
But so,
all right.
I mean, we just put ourselves over, placetobenation.com. Guys, go follow their social media pages. Give them a look. Vote in the tournaments. And
it's always a good time.
Absolutely. So now we go to Season 3, Episode 4, Grief Counseling.
Yes. So we have our cold open, where Michael has boxes of paper stacked up, and he's pretending to go downstairs behind them, go into the warehouse.
Austin Powers.
Yeah, exactly, like Austin Powers, which is probably where he got the joke from.
Yeah.
So, everybody's laughing. He's like, oh, do you want a pencil from the warehouse? Do you want a pen from the warehouse? So then Pam, being Pam, decides to up the ante. Michael, can you get me coffee from the warehouse? It's so much better than the coffee up here. So Michael goes down the stairs, army crawls. You see the door to the kitchen open. He goes in, gets her coffee, army crawls back, walks back up the stairs.
The imaginary stairs.
Yes. And then she goes, with cream and sugar, and Michael, he's got to commit to his bit, man.
He is. He's such a showman, and he can't say no, but he's sweating profusely. And he's red.
He's okay. And he goes to go back down to get her cream and sugar.
It's awesome.
So we have our opening, and then Jan calls Michael in his office to let him know that Ed Truck has died. Now, we have seen Ed Truck previously. Yeah. Michael brought him into the office under the guise that his pension was going downhill to ask him about being friends with his employees. Mm-hmm. So we do have a personal connection with this one Ed Truck.
Yep.
So Michael is kind of just like, oh, okay, whatever, thanks for letting me know. And he walks out to the office and announces it. And Kelly is like, oh my God, you must be so sad. And that's when he connects the dots. I hope people will be sad when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I was their boss. And, Phyllis is like, oh, Ed was a good guy. And he's like, oh, you were here? Yeah. Creed, you were here too? Which makes me think, was Michael really working at the office longer than Stanley?
You never know. Stanley might have had a job at another firm,
True. So, Michael, like I said, he connects the dots. And then he uses it for sympathy. walks over to Pam. It's like, "Did you hear my announcement?" Makes Pam hug him.
Yeah, which gets weird.
Which gets really weird. And she's like, "Oh, okay, sure. We're doing this now. Okay." So we flash to Stamford. We see Josh is in a meeting. He asks this woman, who we now know is named Karen. If she made up a price list for some elementary school. And she's like, "No, I'm sorry. I'll get right on it." And Josh puts Jim in charge of making sure that she gets it done.
The new guy.
Which obviously is going to elicit an angry look from Karen to Jim.
Yeah, she doesn't look...
Like,
she looks nonplussed.
He thinks he can fucking boss me around? I'll show this motherfucker.
You divined that from her face?
Yes.
Motherfucker.
It immediately goes right to motherfucker. So Karen's obviously... a little perturbed. She's having a bad day. She's like, "I didn't have my shit together in front of my boss. He assigned the new guy to watch over me. I'm going to go to the vending machine and eat my feelings."
Yeah.
All she wants is hers chips. I know.
The best.
They are. The salt and vinegar are really
Saltiest
and the most vinegary. So she walks over to the vending machine.
Oh.
And she's like, "Ugh!" And Jim is lurking in the hallway behind her going, "What's the matter?" She goes, "There's no hers chips." Now, guys, I'm going to show Kevin a picture I took.
Yeah, you guys can't see.
And I'm going to post it to Twitter on Monday. They changed the name of hers to Hertz, but there are 6 different kinds of hers bags in this vending machine.
How did you see that? How would you have noticed that? That is so minute.
Okay, listen, the salt and vinegar chips and the barbecue chips and the sour cream and onion.
Bags, yeah.
The bags are very,
they
iconic.
Stick out. But they still have Gertie Hawks.
They do, which I also researched a little bit further into that. They do have Gertrude Hawks, which I went on the website, and Gertrude Hawks is only available in Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, not in Connecticut. So there's no way these chocolate bars would be in there. So they're using the same vending machines that they have in Scranton.
This is all bullshit.
The continuity.
Oh, God.
Continuity errors. Office.
That is so deep. Holy shit.
I like my research.
That is hard. Oh, man.
But 6 different kinds of hers chips that they just relabeled to Hertz.
Oh, man.
Believe me, I zoomed in.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
you could tell they put
Hertz.
like the car rental. It's like they put that little red sticker over it, too.
They even have the sour cream and cheddar chips. Plain sour cream and onion, smoky barbecue.
Some Doritos there.
And like mesquite. Yeah, but you can't see the Doritos. They just have microwave popcorn.
Huh.
And then even down here...
More Gertie.
They have... what looked to be like Doritos, like the nacho cheese.
Torpedoes.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Like, they have Stitz instead of Ritz.
Yeah, well, you can't, isn't that
branding,
yeah, that must be an advertising,
branding.
but you gotta pay the money.
But,
right?
yeah, so I really delved deep into that.
That's
hardcore.
I'm like,
this is the crux of this episode, is her wanting her hers chips. And they are liars.
They're right in front of her face.
Right? So, Jim, being her production manager or whatever for the day, makes it his mission to get her chips.
Yep.
So then we go back, and Creed is talking to Michael about Ed Truck, and Michael's like, "Yeah, it's so sad. I mean, like, what was he, like 70? That must make you think about mortality." And Creed, now we don't know if this is fucking true.
I was just going to say that. Can he be believed?
It's coming from Creed.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Listen, he was decapitated." and Michael's like, "What?"
And Dwight's in there too. He goes, "What?" And
yeah, he turns around. Well, you didn't even notice Dwight was in there until he turned around. He's like, "Excuse me?" And Creed goes on to this story saying he was drunk as a skunk driving down Route 6, which must have been the Casey Highway, not Business Route 6. There's 2 Route 6s.
There are Business 6 and the regular highway.
Yeah. So he's like, he's drunk as a skunk driving down Route 6, and he slid under a tractor trailer. Was decapitated. I believe he said it went pop, snapped right off. So
I do think it's funny that Ed Truck was killed
by a truck, right? At least in Creed, unless that's how Creed connected it.
Creed
and he's just making shit up about how this dude died.
So awesome.
So Michael takes this information, unverified, and announces it to the office, and everybody's literally horrified. Like, oh my god. Then we see Dwight and Angela in the break room, and again, not talking to each other, just around each other.
Yep.
And Dwight says that he asked Angela to freeze his head if he's ever decapitated. Going on to say that if he ever were to die, he wants his body frozen, whether it's in several pieces or not.
It doesn't matter.
Because he will use that time until they can bring him back to life to figure out what hold he was in that somebody defeated him in so that he can counter that hold.
No matter what, it's going to be hand-to-hand combat that kills him.
Apparently, that's the only way he's willing to go. And Angela's just like, no, Dwight, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, she's grossed out.
Yeah. So then Michael is again on the phone with Jan saying, like, the office is really upset. Jan offers to give them the day to grieve their boss that only 3 of them had.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't you know these people? That's not what they want. And she asks, well, what do you want, Michael? And he goes, a statue. But he also says we have a Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We have a President's Day. None of them even worked here. But he says that he wants a statue. And he wants it to move its arms and talk. And so Dwight's like, no, you want a robot.
That's basically a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic. Like one of those
things.
those
things are so creepy.
That's basically what he's at. An Ed Truck animatronic.
Oh, God. So Dwight's like sketching this out. And Jan's like, no, Michael, we're not doing that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And so, like, Dwight and Michael are having this conversation while Jan's like, what are you two talking about? Like, oh, well, you don't want it to be life-size because then it can overthrow you. Let's go 2/3. I gave him a 6-foot extension cord so he can't escape and kill us.
Chase you.
Yeah, like, they're going super in-depth about this shit. So then we go back. Jim and Karen are literally calling different stores in the area to try to find these Hers chips.
Yes.
Wasting time when they're right in the vending machine.
Jim, this is, we talked last episode he wasn't comfortable. This is the kind of shit him and Pam would do.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Well, I mean, they left work to go to the store to buy 69 cup of noodles. So,
that's right.
Yeah, this is pretty accurate for Jim. So, Andy butts in. He's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What
he wants to get involved.
And so they explain that they're looking for chips, and Andy, like a normal person, says, did you check the vending machine? And they scoff and mock him.
Yes.
So
just like Dwight.
Yeah. He is the new Dwight.
Because Jim has not evolved, even though he knew what an ass he was.
Yeah,
he still is an ass.
So then we flash back, and Michael is talking to Stanley and Phyllis about the amount of blood that must have occurred during Ed Truck's decapitation and how it might, it must have reached from here to reception. And they're all just like, dude, like, what the fuck? Stop talking about this. And Michael just gets upset, and he's like, nobody is upset enough. I want you all to at least be depressed.
Well, and he turns to Stanley, and he says, his kappa was detated.
Yeah.
And he spit in his face while saying it.
You just spit on my face, Michael. So Michael brings everybody into the conference room, and he explains the game that they're going to play.
Well, there's also the time when he's doing a talking head. I think I skipped over it, where he's talking about the 5 stages of grief, and he's reading them off his computer. And first of all, he's not admitting that he is in one of those stages of grief, perhaps. You know what I mean? He's just kind of doing it. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how there was bargaining, anger, depression, acceptance. There's one missing there. I forget what it is. Denial. And he's like, as long as I can get these people to depression today, if I can depress them, then I'm doing my job.
So we're in the conference room, and Michael has that little toy from his office, the expanding ball. Yep. And he's like, listen, whoever's holding the ball is going to speak about somebody that they have lost. Crying is encouraged. And he goes, I'll go first. I lost Ed Truck today.
Very morbid.
Morbid.
Yeah.
Super morbid. He talks about how he lost Ed Truck, and he feels like his heart is in a bucket of boiling tears, that his soul is being hit in the crotch with a frozen sledgehammer. I'm sorry, hitting the soul. Yeah, the soul's crotch. Yeah. Not his crotch.
Just the crotch of his soul
is being hit with a frozen sledgehammer. I wanted to get that visual across to you folks. And that he is also being simultaneously punched in the grief bone over and over.
But he wants to cry. He's doing nothing but weeping inside.
Yes.
It's like the saddest thing.
Yes. It's ridiculous. It's so over the top. So then Roy comes in and goes, hey, Pam, sorry to interrupt. There's something wrong with the radiator on your car. But really, he was just pulling a Jim, getting her out of the meeting.
And she was happy.
She was so happy. And he tells her, as soon as she walks out, like, there's nothing wrong with your car. Yeah. I just figured she needed a break. And she grabs her coat and she walks outside. Mm-hmm. And they flirt. He's asking her about the car.
Did you notice her body language here?
She had her arms crossed, but she was very relaxed.
She was leaning up against the car. Her feet were moving. And she had her foot, she turned it, her shoe was coming off. And she was like... biting her bottom lip. She was...
I didn't read that far into it.
I just noticed, like, the way her feet were moving, like, hey.
I noticed they were flirting.
Oh, yeah, obviously. She was feeling it. She was feeling Roy.
Well, that's because Roy's cleaned up his act after his DUI.
He's got that sweet beard.
He's been going to the gym.
That beard is awesome. And, I don't know, like, I'm just watching them, like, this is the first time you've actually seen them kind of get along like this.
Yeah, because the last time we saw him... Like, and only her interacting was him going chicken or fish, and he always got stuck with the fish.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even when they were together, it was never like this.
No, it was never flirty or warm.
And them being
the
happy.
only time was Valentine's Day when she was like, "What's my present?" He goes, "You're gonna go home and get the best sex of your life."
I'd like to think he delivered on that promise.
So disgusting.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then we go back a snippet of Jim and Stamford calling the store. Pretending to be a store, calling a warehouse, pretending to be from a store, trying to figure out where the fuck these chips are at.
And she's all like, oh, God.
It's like, go to a goddamn convenience store and get them.
She's giggling.
Oh, they're flirting.
Yeah, they're flirting.
Hijinks. Ha ha ha. So, sorry.
Wow, somebody turned it on Jim, I think.
The tides are turning.
Mm-hmm.
So, then Pam walks back in. And they didn't do anything.
They're all sitting with their heads down.
Yeah, and she goes, "You waited for me?" And he goes, and Michael's like, "Of course we waited for you, Pam. We're a family here."
So they did nothing.
They did nothing the whole time. They just Pam was outside. So then Dwight gets the ball, and he talks about how when he was in his mother's womb, they did an ultrasound, which... I mean, I don't know how old Dwight is, so I don't know how far back ultrasounds.
No, the ultrasounds
were.
Yeah, that.
I'm assuming he's like in his 30s.
It's not far. No, it's nothing crazy.
So in the 70s, they had ultrasounds.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I didn't do that in-depth research, just on Gertrude Hawkes. But he talked about how he was a twin. He had a twin brother in there, and a few weeks later. They found out that he had resorbed his twin in utero. Which, is it absorbed or resorbed?
I don't know medical jargon, but it sounds like it should be absorbed. He almost made it sound like the brother got away and he took him back, he resorbed him.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. But, so, that's odd. Okay. Nothing shocking from Dwight there.
Well, he said he has the strength of a grown man and a tiny baby.
Yeah. Goddamn Dwight. Stanley refuses to go and literally chucks this ball back at Michael twice.
He'll sit there, but he won't participate.
Exactly. Then Pam's like, fuck it. She gives the plot to $1 Million Baby, saying that her aunt was a boxer, she got injured, and her manager took her off of life support. So then, but Michael believes her.
Yeah,
He's
Michael's
like, wow,
that's touching.
That's horrible. So then Ryan...
He lights up because he's like, we're doing this.
Oh, okay, this is how we're rolling. Yeah. All right. Gives the plot to the fucking Lion King. He doesn't even change the name. No,
his cousin Mufasa.
Got killed by wildebeest.
Oh, I died when he said Mufasa.
Right? And Michael's just like... and he goes, yeah, it was really shocking to everybody in the audience of the safari. And then Michael's like, well, you could tell the whole story. He goes, that would take me like an hour and a half, which is the runtime of Lion King.
Oh, yeah.
So then Kevin... Well-meaning Kevin.
Kevin tries so hard, but
he gives the plot line of Weekend at Bernie's.
Using all the names, and
all of them.
He emphasizes weekend.
Yeah. Took the weekend at my Uncle Bernie's. Then we had to carry my Uncle Bernie around for the whole weekend. Yeah. And
of course, that's when Mike freaks out. He's like, you think this is a game?
Yes,
and Phyllis chimes in, well, there is a ball. Just a great rejoinder.
Stanley just leaves. And Michael finally admits that the guy who sat on his desk died, and nobody cares. Mm-hmm. And Toby, finally, the fucking HR rep steps into this shit.
Love Toby.
Goes, listen, Michael, you just have to accept that death is a part of life. You have to accept it. I mean, when I was walking into the building today, a bird flew into the window and died. And Michael
freaks out about this bird.
Freaks out about this bird.
This used to happen all the time in our grandparents' house.
Oh, yeah, that poor bay window.
Yeah, birds just flying in
They
that
had this
fucking
huge
thing.
bay window in the front of their house, and, yeah.
Flying into it like kamikazes.
Yeah.
Just, woof.
I feel bad for Grandma and Grandpa having to clean that shit up.
They'd get a shovel.
It'd be like every week almost.
That's wild.
So anyway, yeah.
So it's not something that it's not something random. Like,
yeah,
it's
not
that
a strange occurrence, at least in this area.
Yeah.
But Michael starts freaking out, saying, like, of course, Toby, you would let it die. Like, he blames Toby for this bird dying. Runs down to save the bird, which is already dead.
Yeah, just laying there.
And Dwight's like, oh, don't put it to your face, Michael. It's covered in germs. And Michael says, you can't catch an infection from a bird.
Bird flu. I wonder if bird flu was breaking out around this time.
Maybe.
Because that'd probably be a topical joke.
Right? Because, I'm sorry, you can't get diseases from a bird.
Yeah, this is about the time of bird flu, I think, actually, now that I think about it.
So, Michael brings the dead bird, to the kitchen, and he's pouring water onto the bird, trying to resuscitate it. Yes. And everybody's just like, Michael, it's disgusting. Don't keep this in the kitchen. It's already dead. So Michael gives in. He goes out to the office, and he announces that they're going to have a funeral for the bird at 4 p.m., and basically that attendance is mandatory. Because Meredith is like, listen, I have actual work to do. First time we see Meredith with actual work, like enthusiasm for work.
I do want to say, this is when Michael has what I think is the line of the episode. Toby killed this bird, and we will honor it. Just fuck you, Toby.
Yes. Again, blaming Toby for the bird death.
Love it.
So, then we flash over. Karen and Jim are still calling around for chips. Apparently, Karen speaks French because she called a fucking store in Montreal, which I don't know the vicinity of Connecticut to Montreal.
It's not close.
Yeah, so now they're just wasting time.
Well, I was laughing because it reminded me, because she's speaking like fluent French.
Oh, yeah.
But then in the middle, hers. Because she has to pronounce the brand name. It reminds me of like, so my girlfriend and her mom, my girlfriend's mother is from a foreign country. And she speaks her native tongue, we'll say, in the house. Yeah. And, my girlfriend speaks it with her. And, like, they'll be having a conversation, and they'll be doing, like, their whole thing. I don't understand a word. And then you'll hear something like, peanut butter cup. Like, in the middle of it. And that's exactly what it reminded me of. Because, like, they don't have, like, a translation for certain, like, words and that. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, okay, at least I know you're talking about food.
Yeah.
No, I did notice that. She's like, hers. Like, not even in a French accent. Hers.
That's the best part.
So, then we go back, and Kelly's at the copier, and she's crying, like, sobbing. Mm-hmm. And Michael goes over, and he tries to comfort her. He puts his hand on her shoulder, and he's like, sometimes you just gotta get it out, Kel. And she's like, how many times do I have to confirm plans with Ryan before he remembers we have a date tonight?
So that's still going on.
Yep. And Michael's just like, damn it.
He gives up. He thought he had something.
He's like, fuck this. So then
he turns. He turns and goes into the break room.
And Dwight is trying to shove the bird's dead carcass into a soda can.
He didn't take the top off with a knife or anything, though. He's trying to fit it through the little hole.
Through the mouth hole. That's like half an inch big. Yeah. And Michael's like, what is this, the beak?
Yeah, there's like feathers.
The beak off.
There's feathers everywhere.
Yeah, and Dwight is talking about how he was raised on a farm. When they wanted food, they slaughtered a pig. If he had just given him another minute, it would have fit.
Farm life is different.
It is.
I've heard a lot of stories about farms because we didn't go to a city school.
No,
we lived on the outskirts, and there was some farmers.
We were in the city. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, but we knew some kids from the outskirts who did some things on. The farm life is different. That's all I'm gonna say, because you do things differently when you're raised there.
God, yes. So, let's see here. Oh, he was like, Michael wants me to get a box. I need to get a box, Pam. And she's like, oh, I already made this one. It's a pretty, she put fucking tissues in there. She put
it's like a tissue box with pencils on the side, like where the pallbearers would grab. She made a casket out of a tissue box for this bird.
Which was really nice. And Pam was like, do you want to do something for the funeral, Dwight? And he goes, yes. So she's like, why don't you play a song on your recorder? Do you have it with you? And he says, always. So we have that to look forward to. Mm-hmm. If you remember, he played Green Sleeves.
For the kids.
And he also played For the Longest Time by William Joel for Michael on his birthday.
Mr. William Joel.
Mr. William Joel. We're not going to get off on that tangent again. Sorry, kids. So then Let's see. Karen walks back to her desk, and there's a bag of salt and vinegar, hers, on her desk. Jim pulled through, and he just hears her open the bag and start.
Well, she said, "Where did you find these?" She's like, "Find what?"
Yeah.
And then they're just smiling,
playing all coy.
Yeah. Oh God, he's trying to be. He's so charming.
He is, but at the same time, like, it just made me want hers. It really made me want salt and vinegar chips, which are not on the ketogenic diet, guys.
Well, us non-keto motherfuckers can eat them.
Gertrude Hawkes isn't on there either, unfortunately.
Ooh, I could have some of that tonight, too.
So, yeah, enjoy your clogged arteries there, dude. So, anyway.
Shot on me out of nowhere.
We're at the funeral, and Ryan is talking about how when he was 5, he had a fish. And his mom said the fish got sick, so they needed to send it to the hospital in the toilet. And the fish never came back. And so they had a funeral for the fish. And he says, I remember thinking I was too old for this, and I was 5. So now we're at the funeral. Pam, they have a paper box with shredded paper, and they place the box inside. The box holding the bird, I should say. The casket.
Yeah.
And Pam makes a nice little speech, but she really makes it to point out to Michael, using the bird as a stand-in. As a stand-in.
Her eulogy is like a secret show of appreciation for Michael.
Yeah,
basically.
saying like, he didn't die alone. I'm sure there's other birds who work for him, who will miss him very much and care about him.
And also, like, she's like, well, he just wanted to get into the building and share his cheer with everyone. Yeah.
And so almost, like, literally, I don't think she finished her last syllable, and Angela goes, Amen!
So awesome.
So then Kevin lights the box on fire.
Yeah, they give the bird a Viking funeral. Right? It's so awesome.
I'm surprised there's not little coins on top.
It's so awesome. And, like, the best part is they peer in the background, and you see some office workers.
The warehouse workers.
The Lee Corso guy. The Lee Corso guy is standing there like, the fuck? Exactly. Like, that guy's face is so priceless.
Right?
Love him.
So then Dwight starts playing On the Wings of Love on the recorder.
I love that song.
And Pam starts singing, which, Jen Fisher, I love you, but don't sing. So then Michael is saying, it's a talking head. It's going over the montage. And Michael is saying, like, expressing grief isn't bad. It's not a wrong thing to do. Maybe there's good grief, which we should ask Charlie Brown about. So this, after his little talking head goes on, we see the fire is really starting to burn, and they all go back to work. Dwight then uses a fire extinguisher to put the fire out and stomps on the casket.
All over it, yeah.
He stomps on the fucking casket. And then he turns to tell the warehouse workers who are looking, oh, get a broom, mush, mush, clean this up. And that's where we end it.
That's it. And so overall, did you like this one? You did not like the last.
I liked this one better than the last one. I did.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 3.2.
4.5.
Wow.
I thought this was awesome.
Kevin's in a great mood today, guys.
I'm really not. That's the fucked up part. And I just thought it was... Maybe it's because I love absurd shit. And this whole episode was absurdity. Whether it's Creed's story about decapitating...
Which we still can't verify, but that's how Ed Truck actually died.
Yeah, his story. Michael, with this bird is insane.
He's obsessed with giving this bird a funeral.
He goes, he
went through all the stages of grief in one day.
And you made it sound, correct me if I'm wrong here, you made it sound in your reading there that you didn't believe Michael was actually feeling anything from this. He was just making an announcement from Jan, and that he tried to capitalize on Kelly's sympathy. Like, you didn't think he really felt...
I don't think he felt upset because if you remember, he didn't like Ed Truck.
That's true. He
really didn't. So he was just kind of nonchalant, okay, I'll let them know. And it was only once he saw some people's reactions, of actual, oh, that sucks. He was such a nice guy. Where he went, I need to ensure that people think about me this way when I die.
I took it a different way. Okay. I took it that he did get upset about it, not because it was Ed, but because he looked at it as, this is the guy who was in my position.
But it was only after he saw their reaction.
Do you think so?
Yes, I'm almost positive. Let me go back in my notes because I did write that down.
Because I don't know. I don't think he would have made the announcement if he didn't put himself in in those shoes before he went out there. You know what I mean? I'm sure as you go through your notes looking for the moment.
No, I am because it doesn't come out until later on
I think it was one of those things where he put himself in those shoes, like, that could be me. I could die tomorrow. I could get cut up by it, or get my head decapitated by a truck.
Capitated, dear God.
Or detated. Kappa was detated. Okay. And, I thought Michael actually was in a moment of self-reflection in this episode, where he wanted, he's always looking for people's approval and people's love in that, but it's always in the moment. And this is one where he's like, will I be remembered? Like, there's only a few people here who remember Ed, and they didn't seem too broken up about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't want that. I want people to actually miss me. I want to make a mark on people's lives. Because he actually does get choked up when they burn the bird.
They do, because of Pam's speech.
Yeah, because he feels like that's the case. But, I feel like the whole thing with the bird, I think, is, a crisis of...
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's a total meltdown on his part. I can't even describe it. It's a nervous breakdown of a guy who is facing mortality, kind of, in his own way. He never thought about death before this. Because when they're talking about people who died and you can cry and all that, he could have picked a family member or a friend or something like that. No, it was Ed. Because this is the first death. This is the first death that ever affected him. I feel
like that was just him trying to bring around again. See, I care that my boss died because yes. So he admits it. He comes out and tells everybody. It's not until Kelly says, "Oh my God, you must be so sad," that he then walks around, has Pam hug him, and then it's not until they're in the circle of trust throwing that fucking ball around and Stanley leaves that he's like, listen, this is the guy who sat in my desk.
Yeah.
It's not until way later in the episode.
So you think for most of the episode he was just doing it for sympathy and hugs and stuff and attention? I took it a different way. I thought he was sincere because he is so naive.
It's all up to interpretation, dude.
I guess we'll agree to disagree on this one. Another point I want to make is I love Roy. I think Roy is one of the most sympathetic characters on this show this far.
Right now.
No, overall, so far.
Really?
I think you can make a case that he might not have been the best boyfriend, fiance, whatever. Yeah. But I think you can make a case that he's probably one of the better people on this show so far. He's not trying to destroy anybody's relationship, like Jim.
No, he's not.
He's not a self-righteous jerk-off like Angela. He's not somebody who belittles other people like Jim.
He's a regular guy, but at the same time, he fell into complacency. But
that's not a negative thing. That's something that happens to people.
It's not, but at the same time, you have to remember all of these work functions that they have gone through. The Dundies, he wasn't there. Casino night, he left early.
Okay.
Every work function that Pam does want to be at or go to, he's just like, nah. Even, what was the one? Oh, it was the Dundies. Because he was like, I'm leaving, blah, blah, blah. And Pam's like, no, I want to stay. And he doesn't just sit there. He can't take one night out of his time to just sit there.
Something's coming out.
And do something that his fiance wants to do.
But he's doing something that Jim's not doing. This last episode, we talked about how Jim hasn't changed. Andy is just his Dwight now, and Karen is his Pam.
No, he's not.
No, Roy is actually taking initiative.
But that's what I mean. Roy is.
I think that's why Roy is more, because you did see his faults, and you see him trying to change them.
He is more sympathetic, but I don't think he's the most sympathetic.
Because I don't think he wasn't actively an asshole. He was just one of those guys who this is the way I am, accept me.
Do you remember Guy Day?
Guy Day?
When they had women in the workplace.
Are you going to tell me your husband isn't with his friends sometimes? He's just like, oh my God, Mary's nagging me. And you're not going to tell me that there's things that he does where you're on the phone with your friends or our sister or something like that, and you're like, God, man, he does this. And it's
usually the mother.
See? Somebody's getting it. But I'm just saying, that is a thing that people do. They vent when things aren't perfect. And guess what? Relationships aren't perfect.
No,
hence why people vent. And, that's the thing that kills me about this whole Jim Pam thing, and I think people just look at it.
Is that Jim
perfect.
Only sees it from Pam's perspective.
Yeah, and it's perfect. It's like happily ever after. It's like, no, that's not the real world. And I think that's what gets under my craw.
You didn't watch all of the seasons.
Obviously, I haven't.
Yeah.
And that's what gets in my craw is, so far, is that,
Oh, well, yeah, because he only sees her for 8 hours out of the day. He doesn't see her what?
16, whatever. I'm not doing math. I hate math.
I put him on the spot, guys. Sorry.
But my thing is that Roy, I think, is, for as little as he's featured compared to everyone else, I think he is the most realistic.
He's evolving.
Well-rounded. One of the more well-rounded for somebody who we know so little about in that. Yeah. I think he is the perfect representation of what a guy like that is. I think it's a great character. I think the guy...
Oh, no, I think he's a great character.
Yeah,
I really, really do like him.
And, like, I actually enjoy... I enjoyed the, like, dunder-headed, like...
Yeah.
Doofy Roy, and like I enjoy seeing him try to get redemption. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great arc.
My favorite Roy is yet again Sweater Roy with the finger gun.
Never gonna forget it.
I love that Roy.
Okay, and I guess 2 more things. Do you have more to add?
I just have this was a good episode. It had a lot of funny things. It showed. I was kind of just like really not interested in the Chips subplot.
Yeah, that was weak.
I get that it was to show Karen and Jim bonding and them flirting and stuff like that. The progression of their friendship. Yeah. But that's a weak fucking
It was kind of like
line.
the Jinx episode where Jim couldn't talk.
Yes.
It was kind of like that where it was like, okay, they're doing it. Okay. I kind of... Okay, do you think Jim's over Pam?
No.
No? That's why... So you think he's just like, hey, here's a fresh piece of meat? You think Jim Halpert thinks like that?
No, I don't think he does. I think he's just looking at it like, you know what? I moved away for a reason. I have to try to get over it. And this person seems fun. She seems interesting. She's a little bit of a psychopath.
So you think he's settling?
I think he's trying to move on.
Okay. And one other thing. Mm-hmm. Do you think... Because you didn't like that last episode, and this one you were like a little better on, but like it wasn't great. You didn't love it. Yeah. Do you think that The Office, like that whole thing, do you think Jim is like it's missing Jim? Do you think like he added that much to it, or do you think that the stories that they've presented on the show are just not up to snuff with what you think they can do?
I think just this week's episodes 3 and 4. I think this is their lull. Where
oh really? You think they're going to bounce back?
Lull. I think they are going to bounce back because here's the thing. Obviously, with a new office, we have new characters. They have to develop them. It was kind of just like in season 1, where there was funny shit in season 1, obviously. Yeah. But it was a lot of character development. These are the first new characters we've had in 2 seasons.
Yeah, maybe that's what bothers me. You just kind of.
We're back to square one with a new group of folks that they're trying to fit, like, trying to, like, fit into the Scranton mold, but show the similarities. Like, listen, these people are in every fucking office.
Well, it just doesn't, like, it's not even the people in Stamford. Like, Andy and Josh are actually different characters. Like, okay, I get it, you're going to introduce them. I think the thing that bothers me is that the Jim Karen thing, and it's only been 1 episode. Mm-hmm. It looks like it's going the same way as Jim Pam. Like, Jim only has 1 gear to flirt with women, and, like, this is it. This is all he's got, and either the women are going to like it or not like it. He's going to shoot his shot, you know?
We'll see.
It's like, because it's like we are watching season 1 or season 2 again, except it's just a different girl.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe why it was so...
It was kind of difficult to get through that.
Yeah, it's like it's a rerun.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's a rerun.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've seen this before. Big deal.
Yeah. I do love Rashida.
Is it Jones?
Jones.
Yeah. Oh, she was on. Well, she was on Parks and Rec. I'm not a Parks and Rec fan, but like she's okay on that.
Oh, I enjoyed Parks and Rec.
But like I said.
But again, that's a poor man's office.
From what I understand, yeah, I've seen like a lot of it, not a whole bunch.
It's good on its own, but it's a poor man's office.
And Amy Poehler is like the weakest cast member. That's the thing that kills me. She's like the weakest link on that show, but she's the fucking star.
She's the main character.
That blows my mind because she's so shitty.
Also, Ron Swanson from Parks and Recs. I forget his real name.
Was he on this episode?
No, he was in Gilmore Girls too.
You're right, he was.
Yo, I'm gonna
Listen, I'm gonna
they
could do other acting gigs.
No, but I'm gonna do a dedicated Twitter feed just to the stars that got their start on the Gilmore Girls. I swear to God.
Well, we gotta make sure it's their start. Let's not get crazy.
Know.
But so overall, did you answer my question? Is The Office missing Jim, or do you think they've just put together some stuff that's just like subpar?
I'd have to see more.
Okay.
Like I said,
I mean, it's only 4
episodes
in.
The first 2 episodes of this season were so strong.
Yeah.
You know, this is their first week without, like, that big, in-your-face, ridiculous bullshit like Gay Witch Hunt.
Or the convention. Which featured
Which still
Jim.
had Jim in it. Yeah. A lot. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a wait-and-see thing. We're only 4 episodes into the
Exactly. We still have a lot to go.
All right. So,
now, next week...
Yeah, what do we got next week?
We do have episode 5 is Initiation.
Ooh.
And then episode 6 is Diwali.
Okay, I don't know either of those episodes.
Oh,
I know what Diwali is.
Diwali is, as Michael Scott will say, the Halloween for the Indian culture.
Oh God, this is gonna be great. Okay, I don't remember this episode, but just that kind of kills me. I like that. I like where that's going.
So it's going to be a good time next week, guys. Make sure that you reach out to us at Brosis Podcast on Twitter. Send us your feedback at brothersisterrewatch@gmail.com. Thank you again to Mike for sending in your feedback this week.
Yeah.
We love that little factoid.
Yeah, send them more. We can read some more factoids. And also check out placetobenation.com. Go through the pop culture, the wrestling, the sports, all that jazz. It's great content, great stuff. They're great partners. We love them. And we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.